Welcome to the PCIC January 2021 update. I'm Charmaine Russin, and I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome. If you are new to informed consent, then I'm glad that you found us. I hope that you'll visit our website at informedconsentpa.org and sign up for our email alerts. Also, check out our blog, which is always teeming with the most recent updated information that you can count on to be credible and well sourced. So, a lot of people are new to the medical freedom movement this year, and I hope that you're seeing that this is a front page news now. It's no longer something that can be minimized or swept under the rug, because more and more people are realizing that medical freedom, vaccine choice, is necessary to everyone in order to maintain a free society. Every attack on medical freedom is an attack on our personal sovereignty and an attack on the family unit and the authority of the mother and father. There is no other authority over our children that is acceptable. So even if you choose to vaccinate yourself or your children with any or all of the vaccines available and offered to you, you still need to work to maintain your right to make that choice, because those choices belong in the hands of the individuals who have to live with the consequences. So, welcome. As you have seen on our page here on Facebook and on our blog, we are following the VAERS data as it comes out weekly. And just to give you a little update, the VAERS reports are up to almost 8,000. That's just in the U.S. And so that's 8,000 reported injuries having to do with the COVID-19 experimental biological product that they are calling a vaccine. This is not a traditional vaccine in any measure, and it is actually experimental biological gene therapy, if you want to be correct about it. But for the sake of just speaking with ease, we'll call it the COVID-19 vaccine sometimes, just to make it easy to understand what I'm talking about. Of those 7,800 plus reported injuries, 181 are deaths. And when we look at the information on these deaths, the statistical breakdown by age, 29 of those occurred in people ages 44 to 65. So that's a 20-year range. We have 29 deaths. 25 deaths occurred in the age range from 65 to 75 years. And then we have 35 unknown deaths and 5 deaths in the category of people under age 44. So that's age 17 to 44, because it is not approved for anyone under age 17 in the United States. So looking at those numbers, it's absolutely tragic. The way that, so the majority of the numbers are in people over age 75. And the reason that the breakdown is as it is, because the target communities, populations getting this vaccine are the healthcare workers and the patients in long-term care facilities. So you have those on the top end of the age spectrum who are in the nursing facilities getting their shot and then passing away. And then you have the workers, and this is the workforce who are relatively healthy people. In order to work in healthcare, you have to be of decent physical and mental acuity. So these people are, showing up for work and doing what they think is the right thing, the helpful thing, getting their vaccine, and then, 181 of these folks have died. And we also, I just need to remind you that VAERS is not a perfect system. I do think that with all of the spotlights being shown onto this vaccine, the reporting is maybe a little more accurate than the usual, but the usual is estimated that only 10% of reactions are reported. So I think we're probably doing better than 10%, but I do not believe that this is all of the injuries and deaths. that have occurred as a result of this experimental vaccine type product. So you can keep watching our page, and we will post weekly when those numbers are released. You can go and search the database yourself. I can tell you, if you're a data person, you can really spend some hours digging through all the statistics available there, the different types of injuries, the different shots that are logged, and it's getting to be more and more questionable as to how we are to interpret these statistics. But a death is a death, and there's really no way you can kind of make that a gray area. So go over to medalerts.org if you want to look into that database yourself. And the VAERS reports are released weekly, so they're not updated on a day-to-day basis. The most recent report is from January 15th. Now, enough about this death talk. Let's talk about the historical events of January 20th, 2021. And I'm not talking at all about what happened in the federal executive office, but about the changes made in the diagnostic criteria for COVID-19. Now, if you're familiar with the controversy over the PCR tests, this is has been a controversial use of this technology since the beginning of this outbreak. And the research community has been crying out since April, maybe even before that, that the PCR tests cycles threshold was too high, and it was going to lead to false positives. And there was also an outcry from the medical community, from doctors saying, we have never diagnosed people as having a disease if they don't have symptoms. But the criteria from March until January 20th was anyone with a positive PCR test was counted as having COVID-19. Now, all of those voices that have been crying out for a rational diagnostic process have finally been heeded. Unfortunately, it's, at this point, the numbers have been used to bring terror to every household in the country and oppression across the country and the world. However, we might start to see the numbers go down, because now they will no longer count just a PCR test being positive as a case of COVID if there are no symptoms. So back to, and they're lowering the threshold for the PCR test. So they'll lower the number of false positives by lowering that threshold to a more reasonable and accurate count. So lowering the threshold and no longer counting asymptomatic people as a case is automatically going to make the numbers go down without having changed anything. Okay, it doesn't mean less people are sick. It doesn't mean more people are infected. It doesn't mean less people are infected. All it means is they changed the diagnostic criteria. And this is kind of part of the playbook if you want to see numbers go down. And if you want to learn more about that, I recommend you read Dr. Suzanne Humphrey's book, Dissolving Illusions. And you will learn about how changing a diagnostic criteria can really make a disease go away. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Now on to what's happening in Pennsylvania. Okay, so all the federal stuff, that happened. The president has changed hands, and it's time for us to dig in where we are. Root down, because advocacy in 2020 was so frustrating. I know all of you who were with me at the Capitol in Harrisburg, all of these reopening and wanting to end the shutdown. There was, and just trying to end the emergency declaration. It was so frustrating. But we're in a new session now in Pennsylvania, and the bills are coming back, and we have a lot of good bills coming. We will have the Right to Refuse Act has been reintroduced by Representative Diamond, as well as his school exemption announcement bill that requires schools, anytime they are corresponding with parents about vaccines, they have to mention that exemptions are available. So that bill's back. We will also be seeing the Informed Consent Protection Act coming back from Daryl Metcalf, as well as the Medical Freedom Act, which is currently being developed by Senator Mastriano and his colleagues. So we have a lot going on. There's also a bad bill has come back and reared its head, and we'll have some actions for you to take later in the week regarding that bill. That's a school shaming bill. It was introduced before, and it stopped dead on arrival because of the citizen outcry, thanks to you advocates who made the phone calls that were necessary and really killed that bill. So we're looking into that, and if we have to do it again, we'll do it again. It's a marathon that we're in, it's not a sprint. And so we are, nationally, we have a trend of more positive and pro-informed consent bills being introduced nationwide in recent years, and fewer freedom limiting bills being passed. But as you see, the environment we're in now, it's not all about legislation. And so what I really want you to know is that the smaller the pond, the bigger the ripple. And what I mean by that is the more local you can be effective, the greater effect you're going to have. So I know I might sound like a broken record, but I want you to get involved with one of our local chapter groups, putting the pressure locally on your elected officials and the unelected officials that have power over these changes and these regulations is strongest when you are at the local level. So yes, we need to come together statewide for actions. Absolutely, we want to do that. But on the day-to-day basis, there are things you can do in your community that will make an impact. The smaller pond, the stronger the ripple. So we have our chapter groups all listed on the website, and I'll put the link here in the video. If there's not a chapter group near you, then you can talk to you about starting one up, or just finding other advocates in your area to do advocacy with. Also, if we're looking for chapter leaders, we're always happy to integrate new volunteers into doing this work. There are action campaigns on our website. You can click the action tab and you can get caught up. We have a fact sheet, the COVID-19 vaccine risk fact sheet, what you need to know. We want that to be printed out. We want you to print out 4 or 5 copies, mail it to your Pennsylvania legislators, send it to your school superintendent, send it to the school nurse, send it to your pastor. Okay, it's not going to hit their desk unless you put it there. It's up to us. So boots on the ground, session has started. There's going to be work to do. Please get connected, stay connected. We cannot rely on Facebook only as our way to communicate. So we at PCIC, we're on Telegram, Instagram, MeWe, Gab. We are known to be dabbling on Twitter and YouTube, and we are definitely on the World Wide Web at informedconsentpa.org. So make sure you're following us, you're keeping your finger on the pulse of what needs to be done here in Pennsylvania. And, I would encourage you this week, just take one action. Take one action, print out one fact sheet and mail it to somebody, one of those types of people I mentioned. Or hang it up somewhere. Do you have an office? Do you have a chiropractic office? Do you have a health food store with a bulletin board? Hang it up. Hang up a couple of copies. If everybody does a little bit, then a lot can happen. All right, thanks for listening. This was a little bit long, but it's been a long time, and I missed you, and I'm happy that you're here, and we're going to do great things. Take care.